Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the My Love of Golf podcast. It's Rossco here, your co-host, soon to be joined by our very, very one and only Rocket. And we've got a special guest along tonight, and there could only be one special guest along tonight for a Rossco and Rocket special. And wow, I think it is going to be special because we are on the back of just another episode from the young man who has created more episodes in the world of golf tournament professional life than anyone in the history that I can ever remember. So it's fair to say that with this episode will be spent dedicating a fair bit of time to the Patrick Reed scenario, imbroglio, situations. And if you've heard those words before, you've heard Blakey and I talk about them on the GolfRules Questions podcast. So yes, Blakey is joining us to help us digest what went on last weekend, what the hell went on. But we're not only talking about Patrick Reed and the USPGA Tour, we're certainly crossing over to the Omega Dubai Desert Classic, one of the great events on the European Tour and in the world of golf, won this week by someone who was very near and dear to the podcast. So without further ado, let's crack on. Let's get into it. Let's bring him in. Let's hear from the lads. But first, you've got to hear from the music. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the My Love of Golf podcast. Rocket, how are you, sir? It's not a Rocket episode without a bit of this. That's brought a smile to your face, Rocket. That's brought a smile to your face. You had angry face on just as we got into it there. How are you, mate? Have you calmed down? Have you calmed down yet?
Oh, I'm fine. I don't know what the issue is. You know, Paul Casey wins. You know, Siwoo Kim wins. Mm-hmm. Tyrrell's won. You know,
what could be wrong?
What could be wrong? You know, I don't even know what the huff and puff is all about.
Well, golf. Golf is in a good space at the moment, and thank you for everyone who gave a bit of feedback to me on last week's episode. My, I guess, digestion of the things that pop into the sphere of my golfing world, the top 10 things
the
in
Rostradamus.
Rostradamus, as you kindly pointed out. Thank you. I appreciated being anointed the Rostradamus. I might claim that. But thanks for the feedback. And I said golf's in a great place. But you don't have to turn the pages too far. And in the case of last weekend's PGA Tour event at Torrey Pines, should be remembered for being the home of Tiger Woods' great victory in 2009 against Rocco Mediate. There's an either for you, Blakey. Rocco Mediate. Great course, great outlook, just one of the all-time courses. Should be remembered for all these great things in this set, except we're going to dedicate a fair bit of time to talk about it. Unsavoury, or what's turned out to be an unsavoury incident. If you read the Twitters, if you read the media, if you listen to all of the stuff, the Patrick Reed drop. Blakey, let's bring you in. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much for having me on the My Love of Golf podcast, Rossco. You're fast becoming one of Australia's most prolific golf podcasters.
Well, I appreciate that, David. Thanks for the sentiment. I know that's said, no, tongue-in-cheek, that's maybe, but it's fact. Well, if it's written and it's on a website, it's fact, isn't it?
Speaking into existence.
Well, in all seriousness, I do want to say thanks to, I think it's Australia's biggest golf independent golf blog, the Aussie Golfer, and you can check out Aussie Golfer on the web. And just before Christmas, and I only picked it up on Friday night, embarrassingly so, but just before Christmas, they put out a little post, things to watch, and they had 5 of podcast episodes that they would like everyone to listen to, and the My Love of Golf podcast got a mention. and in particular the My Love of Golf episode with Eric Anders Lang. Got to mention as one that they liked listening to, and they did state there that Flanagan, they referred to me by surname. Flanagan's become prolific because we've got these 3 podcasts happening, and Blakey, you're part of one of those, the Golf Rules questions. This is your time to shine right now. Has the phone been ringing hot today?
Yeah, phone, email, social media. Instagram's melted down. Facebook's melted down. It's fantastic.
Golf Twitter was on fire. On fire.
This is like
Love it.
This is like pornography for you, isn't it? Like Blakey, like your version of pornography is when this happens, because I know you sit down there and watch the golf religiously, and you've got the record button at the ready to fire off any level of discussion point of interest. And obviously, what happened? Tell us when you saw that on the weekend and you watched it unfold in front of you. What were you doing? Describe to the listeners what happened for Australia's biggest golf rules geek.
I've got to be honest. I think it happened while I was asleep. Can anyone else confirm that? That would have happened. It was 5 in the morning or something like that.
It was around about sort of 7 a.m.
It was round 3 on the 10th hole.
Yep.
So it would have. Yeah, that's right. It would have been about our 7 a.m. So I would have been asleep. You wake up. Instagram's got 10 messages. WhatsApp's got a couple of messages. Have you seen the Patrick Reed incident? How did he get free relief? Was that correct? Tell me. They've tagged me, and the PGA have come out, and then they once he finished his round, he did an interview, and we got to listen to that, and it was awesome just to hear it and see it unfold. And then I got my friend Stuart to do the video and send it through, and then I started attaching the text to it and tried to upload it to the YouTube to educate anyone who wanted to be educated, and thought that was really good for the worldwide golfing public to see the facts and hear what the rules had to say about it.
Now, Rocket, let's you're like an angry dog sitting down there being choked back. It's time to let you off your leash, mate. I don't care if you're awake or on the lawnmower or at the gym or playing with the kids, but when you finally got around to seeing it, what were you thinking?
Well, first and foremost, the course is going to be renamed before the US Open. It's no longer known as Torrey Pines. It's going to be known as Torrey Crimes.
Wow. If I could remember which button was the hi-hat button, I think it's this one. Hold on. Yeah, there it is.
Because there were bodies left everywhere, between people being thrown under the bus. The PGA Tour themselves have literally murdered their own chosen one, Rory, by actually throwing him under the bus and putting him in the same bucket as this man. And as I was saying to you before this call, and I think I even wrote it on a message, on Saturday morning, so that would have been the second round. On Saturday morning, Patrick Reed's been playing well. He's been quite good for over a year and playing well. And this is the thing that we've got to remember, is if you take everything, take the personality away, the dude is fantastic to watch when playing golf. That's what it comes down to. And I was thinking about it on Saturday going, do you know what? He's been really good. I'm thinking the next episode we're going to get on there and I might jump on a little bit of the Patrick Reed Salvation Tour stuff, bit a la Sergio from 2019. And he let me down. Within 24 hours, he's let me down. And this is the thing that drives me nuts. So we've got to remember he's won at Torrey Pines, Crimes. He's won by 5 against a really, really good field. His 9th PGA Tour win. He's won a Masters. He's now back into the top 10 in the world. The guy can really play golf. But problem is that we don't talk about any of this. We don't, because as an actual human and as a golfer, he's the complete opposite of what his ability should be. Like, there's a reason he doesn't have sponsors, or he actually has to go buy his own clothes, because they don't want to be associated with him. Like, when I watched that video and then I watched it again and I've watched it again, and then I've seen all the I've seen all the different people, all these different people doing takes. When you've got Jim Nance, Frank Nobilo, Sir Nick Faldo, Ian Baker Finch, and Dottie Pepper, who, when it's a little bit grey, they don't touch it. They were going at this one. They interrogated this one. They gave each of those people at least 10 to 15 minutes to basically just tear this one apart, and they kept going and going and going. They didn't let this one go. They were literally called bullshit on the whole thing. And so when you've got people who are really conservative that aren't conservative in something like this, it stinks. Absolutely stinks. The whole process that from him, let's walk through it. He's in the bunker. He hits it left. The telecast shows that it bounces, right? That's the side. He's walking up there. He hasn't even got to the ball, and he's asking the marshal, did you see it bounce? Why is he asking the marshal if he saw it bounce? Or if she saw it bounce, sorry?
Because he saw it bounce.
Why is he asking that? Why is he asking that before he gets to his ball? Let's think about the intent here. Put the rule aside. Let's think about the intent. Gets to his ball, and then he calls out to his playing partners, I think it's embedded. I'm going to check it. Yeah, it hasn't even bent down yet. Bends down, puts the tee in the ground, marks it, picks up the ball, lifts it, and walks away. Then calls an official. Then calls the official. Takes a long time before the official gets over there. He comes over and he goes, I think it was embedded. I think it broke ground. And the official goes, there's your ball there. And he goes, oh, yeah, I've already moved it. And he said, can I put my finger in there to check it? And then he said, well, isn't that the only way you're going to tell if it's broke ground or not? Like, he's put the official in a very precarious position. And then he continued to talk about, I think it's embedded, there's a lip. So the official now has two things to do. Does he just take Patrick Reed's word for it, and we can't see a lot of things, the grass is quite thick? Or does he actually say, do you know what, because you've removed the ball, this is what he should have done, because you've removed the ball and I can't verify that it's embedded, I need you to put it back exactly where it is and play it as it lies. So, and then they bring up the whole Rory did this. Park Rory for a second. So if you think about what Patrick has done through those whole things, then in the interview, he's asked about it, and he talked about, the marshal said she didn't see it bounce, and my playing partners and the caddies, they said they didn't see it bounce. No, they didn't. They didn't say any of that. He just said that to make it as if like it's all clear. And then he talked about what he did as a process, and the rules official sort of picked it off. He's put them in a position where they had no choice. He's exploited the rules. Like, it's not as obvious as the bunker gate from the Hero Challenge, but it's deliberate. And the thing is that it's not like this is the first time, right? And you have Rich Lerner from Golf Channel going, if this was Adam Scott or Rory McIlroy or someone else, this wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, it wouldn't be an issue because they wouldn't do it. Don't put him in the same class as them. This guy has form, legitimate form of exploiting the rules. Peter Costas has even gone on record and saying, I saw him cheat. He's patted down his lie. This is another example of him exploiting the rules and doing it in a deliberate way from almost like he's thought about, how do I do this? First of all, I'm going to walk over it again. Walking up to the ball, he's already asked them if they saw it bounce. As soon as she said, I didn't see it bounce, he's like, bang, I have my opening. And then he's gone through his little scenario, and now he basically presents the rules official with a difficult situation. Does he call Patrick on basically going, put it back, mate? Oh,
surely, my mind thinks that, when you walk up and you're asking people, did you see it bounce? He's already, as you suggested, already thinking about, trying to contrive an outcome. But sure, he's not that silly to know that the cameras are going to well and truly know that if it bounced or not, regardless whether someone saw it bounce or not.
Here's the other thing. Did he call? They could have, the officials, if they wanted to, they could have called for a replay. They could have called back in to say, can someone check it? But the thing is, though, he's already moved the ball, right? He's already taken information out of their hands.
It was tampered with the scene. Now.
Yeah. So it's like, it'd be like a murder scene, right? You've stabbed someone and they've gone, oh, did anyone else see that?
Well, it was golf's version of a bloodbath. But Blakey, so you're a rules official. You've officiated on the Australian tour. You've officiated on the European tour. You've officiated in the US at WGC and etc. So some pretty significant and big events hanging around scenarios and situations and guys, not guys like these as in Patrick Reed, but guys as in the professional golfers of the globe. What, Rocket's just given you his digestion of what happened, which is, I think, absolutely accurate to what everybody saw and how me as a regular everyday weekend warrior of golfer thinks and acts and operates, regardless of media influence. What do you take out of it?
Well, just to help your listeners out and working from the facts, I mean, I have my opinion, but just helping the listeners out on what you can and can't do and what Paddy did. So Rule 16.4 allows someone to mark their ball and lift it if they have good reason to think that their ball is in a condition or a position where they can get free relief from. So Paddy thinks that his ball's embedded, he marks it, he lifts it to check to see if it's embedded or not. He is allowed to do that. That's permitted. You don't have to get an official in. I mean, you can do this, Rossco, you can do this, Rocket. When you're playing golf, we don't have officials, we don't have referees. So what he did was all correct. Okay, I'm not saying that intent. I'm not going to talk about his intention.
Well, the Rory one was the perfect example of.
All I can say that he has is that he has form, right? And so that is why there's such a big debate. But he's allowed to do that. He places the ball over on the grass. Now, he's not allowed to clean it, but at the same time, if he is permitted to take free relief, he would be allowed to clean it. He would be able to substitute his ball. He then calls a referee in, which I found a little bit weird because Rory had the same issue and you don't need to show anyone. You don't need to tell anyone. They changed that in 1st of January 2019. You don't need to show anyone. You don't need to tell anyone. If the marker wanted to come and see it, they could say, hey, I want to come and see it. They're not going to do that on the PGA Tour. They're concentrating on their own game. They don't like, they're like a family. They're like, they talk like cats, I guess, later on, in the locker room. We talked about that. I've heard you guys talk about that a lot. But you don't actually have to get the official in. You could just make the decision yourself. You think that it's embedded, you can take free relief. Someone wants to check you, then you can let them check, whatever. That's not going to happen. But then he calls the official in, which, I thought that was strange, but possibly he was thinking, well, I just want to check that it is embedded, and if it turns out to be not embedded later, well, I've got the backup of the referee saying that he agreed. Rocket's not correct. He's correct in that he's put the the referee in a difficult position that he never saw where the ball was actually lodged. But then there was an imprint there. I mean, the referee wouldn't make the decision to say it's embedded if there wasn't actually an imprint in the ground. How that imprint actually got there, we will never know. Only Paddy will know that. And then after that, he's allowed to take the free relief, which is the spot. The reference point is directly behind where the ball came to rest, within 1 club length. Now, we see on the video he's measured out a club length and put a tee down, but then he's dropped and his ball's rolled closer to the hole. But that was only simply because he didn't put his club or tee in the correct position in the first place. You don't have to measure with a club length. You don't have to put a tee down. It was just the fact that where the ball came to rest after it hit the relief area was still not closer than the reference point, which is a spot directly behind the embedded ball, no nearer to the hole. So there is a lot of intention about this. There's a lot of innuendo about this. But as far as the rules are concerned, everything was correct. It just smelled fishy because it was Paddy, whereas we did see Rory do the same thing on the same round on hole 18 after it also bounced. But we think Rory, good with the rules, honest gentleman. Paddy, not so good with the rules, not so honest. And that is why the big kerfuffle is happening. And my main thing that I want to say to this, it's really easy to cheat in golf, but it's also really, really easy not to cheat in golf. So because it's so easy not to cheat, then if anything happens that smells fishy, that sounds funny, that doesn't look right, then you should carry that on for the rest of your life. And I have no issue with that being carried on with your character, that asterisk, because it's so easy not to cheat.
Yep. And then so couple of other bits. So there's some other footage of Paddy from the front in terms of, and it's really hard to see what he's doing because the grass is really long, right? So I didn't talk a lot about that. Then if you put it in the context of Rory's interview, actually here's the 2 interviews afterwards. So Patrick, when they asked him about it, it was like he admitted what he was doing and then kind of talked about the rule, how it should have been done, and then he's obviously done the complete opposite. And then they asked him about the ball, and he goes, no ball that bounces will embed, right? So he's actually admitted it, right? So this is the thing. But then you look at the Rory one and they asked him about it, and he's like, we didn't see if it bounced. But the thing is, my ball was embedded. So the only thing I can surmise is it's gone back in its original pitch mark. And he said it broke ground, so I made the drop and I played it from there. So if you think about the context of one person who he's trying to cover his tracks versus someone who just goes in complete confidence of what he does, and he has form on doing the right thing, even if it's at the detriment of himself. People, if they would need to remember, go back to the 2020 PGA at Harding Park, where the marshal trod on his ball. He went to drop it again, and he was actually uncomfortable with the lie and said, "This is too good a lie. It needs to be worse." For him to set up trying to sort of exploit the rules 6 months later, it's a long bow to draw. Rory's squeaky, right? I might have my issues with Rory, but when it comes to rules and how the game is supposed to be played, he does not have a black mark. When it comes to Patrick, he has form, and not like a little bit of form. We're talking red hot on camera, and it's been almost, pardon the pun, swept under the carpet by lots of people. Like JT making a joke of it at the President's Cup. That was sickening. Like he was blatantly scooping sand out of the bunker. We've got the footage of Peter Costas when he was at at Barclays, I think it was.
One thing that I didn't cover off, which you've just mentioned, Rocket, is also a ball can embed on the bounce. A ball can, so it's where it's pitch mark, its own pitch mark. But when the words say its own pitch mark, that doesn't mean the first place it pitches. It could bounce and pitch and embed itself on the bounce. It's very, very unlikely, but it depends on the shape of the shot and how soft the ground is and how much grass there is. I'm not going to be able to give you every example of when a ball would be able to pitch and come to rest in whether it's its first pitch mark or its second pitch mark, whatever. But the way that Patrick's ball reacted didn't look like it actually came to rest back in its first place that it hit. But I absolutely can't fully say that that's not where it did hit, and it just didn't look like it could have, because it popped up and landed about 2, at
least 3 feet. It moved 3 feet.
I was going to say,
yeah,
right.
that camera angle
3
from
foot to the side,
yeah.
and it's popped up 2 foot and then dropped. And I would have thought that from 2 foot that it would be very unlikely to plug, but I can't 100% certain tell you that that's true.
Yeah. So it's good to clear that up, because I think if you read a lot of the stuff, people are naturally assuming that if the ball's bounced, you can't claim an embedded ball because it's bounced. And I think that's wrong, as you've correctly pointed out. So it's good to clear that up, because the ball can bounce. It can hit the ground before it plugs. It probably, as we've all agreed, not going to happen in the situation that has been
1 in a million
that we saw there at Torrey Pines. But if it bounces off a hump and then goes into a up face of something else and it plugs and it's embedded in its own mark, well, then it's hit the ground beforehand and it's in its own pitch mark. So it can actually happen.
It can. It's highly unlikely in that situation. But
do we think that the discussion around knowing that the grass is at least 20 centimeters deep, that he knows his hand's disappeared out of sight of his, or the furthest point of his stretched finger has disappeared out of sight of any camera, that he might have actually pressed it into the ground a bit further when he went to have a look for it?
Yeah, there's another footage from the front where it's showing him sort of
rocking,
just sort of putting his hand in there, pushing around, going, there's a lip. Yeah, of course there is now.
Mm.
I mean, it wouldn't take much to sort of just rock your body weight into your hand, would it?
No. Push the ball in a little bit. Just give it a little bit of a push. Push your fingers in there.
He was incorrect, and you're spot on, Rocket. Like, I didn't actually hear the Rory interview, but you're spot on when he said, if I'd known that it had bounced, I wouldn't have claimed it. It's like, well, it has nothing to do with that.
Mm.
It's got nothing to do whether it did bounce or not. It's either embedded or it's not embedded. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. And the dude has form. It's as simple as that.
I'm not an expert.
Unfortunately, it tarnishes
a good win. He's a good player.
Good player. That's what makes me. I reckon that's what makes me even more angry, because he's actually a really good player and he's good to watch. If you just sort of close your eyes, again, as I've said, remove the personality from it. Like, he's fantastic to watch play golf.
He's actually got a really good short game.
Oh, it's amazing. He just moved the ball around. He just finds a way to get the ball around and get it in the hole less times than most other people.
It's obviously a thing for him. It's a thing, and it's just bizarre to think that he can't get away from it, and thinks that he can possibly get away with it.
Well, and then there's some players that have come out and without, so for example, Xander come out and they asked him about it, and he goes, I haven't seen the videos and stuff like that, but I've heard about it, and there's a lot of talk about it amongst the boys. And he said, well, there's nothing I can say because he's protected by the tour. And also Xander's a victim of Team Reed's burner account with the driver doping.
Yeah.
He's been a victim of the so I think, which is, if anyone doesn't know, it's sort of peeled back the onion of the very well known in amongst golf Twitter, the Team Reed burner account.
Now was that tweet from P Reed account should have been flicked across to the burner account?
Yeah. So the burner account, they're going flat out to like replying all caps, and then must have forgot to stay logged out of the actual P Reed one, and the exact same tweet was pumped out by the Patrick Reed one. It was just gold. It was gold watching it in real time, seeing the actual burner account. So I think Justine was must have been really fired up, and she's made a critical error.
Justine's reputation is copying a battering.
Oh, it has forever.
Exactly.
And then, Lanto Griffin as well has come out and just talked about, he said, it's really hard for us to sort of call it out, because he's another player and, we've got to play with him. And, so he's kind of alluding to the same thing. It's like it's a protected thing. It's like, what is the tour, how's the tour, what's the tour really stand for? What are they doing? If they're not going to give the rules officials the power to be doing it right, they might as well just hire Dave Hepner from WWE. It's just Montreal screw job all over again. Wrestling fans will get that.
Blakey, I think it was also a former guest on the My Love of Golf podcast, Matt Griffin, who was quite outspoken in a tweet that I read from Matt, and it was very, short and to the point. But I think, and I don't have it here to read, but the inference was, wouldn't you call your playing partners across, first, just before you move the ball, which is within your right, wouldn't you just call your playing partner across? He's claimed that it's not. He didn't because he wanted to keep pace of play up. But in your experience, hanging around with these guys,
is that what he actually said?
Well, I think if you look at the interview at the end of the day, he referred
pace of play on the PGA Tour.
He referred to that of pace of play, and it was related to his decision
They're the slowest people on the planet. There's no pace of play on the PGA Tour.
So Rory and Brooks are actually fast, but the rest of them I wouldn't really say that they're committed to pace of play.
No.
So would it not be normal that you would say, hey, mate, just come and have a look at this for us? Hold on.
Yeah, this should be normal. I know I do it. Come and have a look at this? What you want someone to give an objective opinion.
Well,
look. If it, the referees get paid, and it's just as easy to get those guys in, because, as I said, you don't put your playing partner, and the playing partners don't want to be put into
market. Call them over and let the official make a decision based on where the ball is. You don't pull it out. Let them make the call.
If it was me, if it was my ball, I wouldn't call anyone over because I know the rules. I know what I'm looking for. But it seemed like it was a backup. It was like I'm going to do this, but then, I better get someone in just to make sure that I'm.
Yeah, he's just covering his bum. That's it. He's
very smart.
Well played, Patrick.
Now,
and here's the thing, that was on camera. How many other times during that tournament and other tournaments when they have these conditions where they have those rules in place, has he done that may not be on camera?
We'll never know. You'll never know, but he knows.
Especially when there's no crowds.
He knows.
It won't be the last time that we hear of Patrick Reed and rules in the same sentence.
I subscribe to a number of, if it's a golf journal and a golf magazine and it's got pretty pictures and big words and big writing and, it's expensive to subscribe to, I've got it. The latest issue of the Golfer's Journal has an article about cheating in golf in it. It's fun. It's ironic, the timing, and it's the summary version of the Pracey version of what the article's about. Basically says once you do it once, and it becomes addictive. The dopamine response, that sort of like me eating a packet of snakes before I jumped on here. Well, I'm really tired and I've been working all day, but geez, it feels good, and it just releases that dopamine response that people have to keep doing it. It's a bit addictive, and
you get away with it once.
It's like adultery.
Yeah. Well,
just keep going.
And then you get caught, and you're like, oh, I've always wanted to get caught.
Well, I've never been on any of those fronts other than eating a packet of snakes before a podcast, and that felt really good.
I mean, we need to.
There's the evidence right there.
That's what the Golf Rules Questions podcast is all about. It's trying to stamp out cheaters, because I'd rather have half the amount of people in the world playing golf that are playing at the moment, half it, and as long as they're all honest and have integrity. I reckon the golf is synonymous with honesty and integrity. I don't care about growing the game. I care about the game and what it actually means to be a golfer.
Yeah, and we hope that is the number one reason for adults sending their kids to play golf, for adults hanging out together and doing things, on Thursdays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, Sundays, or whenever you choose to do it.
Self-governing.
Exactly. The reason why we want to do it together is because you can do it it's a safe environment. Mm-hmm. We know what we're doing. We can be responsible. We can do it together. No one has to, there's no red lights, speed cameras, or whatever else. You just go and do it, and you have fun, and everyone can win a $20 chook at the end of the day.
Big generalization here, but if we raised
podcast, you can do
golf. If we raise golfers like the Japanese raise their culture, then we'll go pretty well.
Yep. Also, another piece. Patrick Reed isn't alone.
Drop it. Here we go. Who you got? Who's on your radar?
We've got Mr. Cuccio, who've 3 drops, steam shovel. There's a few other players that are known to mark their ball, and this is one I don't understand, mark their ball at least an inch or two closer to the hole than where they originally are. There's one particular player on the Champions Tour. There's a person I played with, and this person played against him in college in the US, and I've known about this criminal for about 25 to 30 years.
Initials?
BM. Something rhymes with Playfair.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well, let's not go down that rabbit hole but anyway, Matt Kuchar is, 3 drops. Take us, the listeners, through the 3 drop scenario in case it's far from their minds.
Oh, I think was it last year? It might have been the year before at the Memorial, where he had a similar scenario where he drove it in the fairway, and it was like in a little impression, and he was trying to claim that his ball pitched and popped up in the air and then landed and made this impression in the fairway. And then he called for a ruling, and the rules official just went, nah. Then they've had time to look at it on the camera, and he's called for a second ruling. That official came over and went, nah, play it as it lies, cocko. He wasn't happy.
Do you even think, David, that a rules official will come over and overrule an official, a referee that's already made a decision? Like, for real?
Maybe if you slug a white.
Well, yeah, it's happened before.
All right.
But it's obviously, if the player gets what they want, then they're not going to call for a second opinion. So it's only ever going to be where the first referee goes no, and then the second referee goes, yeah, sure, you can have that. We had that, we gave that to another player on the front 9, or, this happened last week, or whatever it is. So, yeah, there has been times when referees. You don't hear about those ones because,
Well, if it happens in footy or rugby league or any of those sports, they get dropped. If they make a bad decision, maybe.
But do you know what I think
cricket,
about this? Do you know what I think about this Patrick Reed thing? Bryson is doing it all wrong. Remember the memorial where he's hooked it left? He should have just pretended his ball's embedded and just chuck it back out in the fairway.
Thank you.
I was thinking about Bryson. I was like, well, if it's not one, it's the other.
They just continue to it was just content. They're just content kings.
They've given Rocket reason to be on a podcast every 2 to 3 weeks for 2 years.
They've grown my YouTube account, both of them.
Well, speaking of YouTube,
I love both of you, Bryson, Patrick.
Speaking of YouTube, Blakey, and your growing YouTube account, it's now up to almost 4,000 subscribers. And thank you on behalf of both the My Love of Golf and the Golf Rules Questions podcast for anyone that's subscribed. And if you haven't found Blakey, the young man sitting on the screen, as I can see him, you're listening to him from the Golf Rules Questions Instagram account, YouTube channel. Please go and subscribe to the mailing list because you will get unbridled attention. And that's confirmed from his followers, because if you scroll down the 75 or so comments that come on most Instagram posts that he puts up, someone's always in there going, this guy's unreal. He responds to everything and everyone. And I don't think they're all your friends. That you don't have that many friends that reply to every post. So it is genuine. You do spend a fair bit of time replying in the interest of keeping those of us who play this game aware of our requirements to play by the rules. So well done.
As prolific as you are with podcasting, I am just a messenger of the rules of golf, a messiah. I practice from the good book.
It's your porn. It's your golf porn. Now, but I bring up.
This is what I go
Blakey
to
316.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
don't cheat.
Look at he sleeps under that. That's big enough for a pillow. I've only got the small one. He's got the pillow size version.
We're talking about the book, right, Rossco?
Yeah, that's right. The small book, which sits here because when I need it for when I do this for your podcast, Blakey. But I mentioned YouTube. He is prolific on that as well, and he just shares existing content. The PGA Tour pulled his video down.
Yeah, that was a bit gutted.
It was like 270,000 views, and they just closed him down. So
yeah, that's what the Sith Lords do, especially with the Sith Lords of Ponte Vedra.
Well,
they like to control the message.
I love to.
They've got the new Death Star. The drawbridge has been raised.
That's a joke, isn't it? 700 people are going to be working in that joint down at Ponte Vedra, spending all of that money that could be put into
$75 million.
700 people soon in February.
I think it's about 4,000 because apparently they've got about 5 or 6 satellite offices around the area. So there's a lot in media and stuff like that. But again, the building has 100, that's 100 meeting rooms that can fit 10 to 12 people in them. 100. They sacked a heap of people during COVID, and they've launched a monstrosity.
If anyone from the PGA Tour is listening, I am available for hire. So if you need me to help out, media, rules, whatever, I'll clean bins.
Yeah, I'll just say that Blakey didn't really. No, he's not been any part of bagging the PGA Tour. He's just sat there.
No, that's up to me, Rocket.
But the PGA Tour have been copping a fair bit of flack in their response to issues lately, and
rightfully so.
I just
can't believe they threw Anakin under the bus. They actually threw the chosen one under the bus. They have sacrificed the Prince of Ponte Vedra, Anakin McElroy. Can't believe it.
I like to give props to people who have helped me out on the podcast, in the forms of being guests, and I'll cover 2 in a second. But I listened to Eric Anders Lang's podcast from not the one from Dubai, but the one that came out after the Justin Thomas incident, and we won't backtrack over that, but he makes a couple of very clear and concise statements around his thoughts on how the PGA Tour have handled themselves since that situation, and basically, the way they handled it was crickets. There was no response. There wasn't any press. There wasn't any statements. They just seemed to have swept what Justin Thomas did under the rug, as they seem to be now. And so they're copying
That's what they do.
They're copying a bit of heat, and you can't.
What they do.
It's not the time. You can't do that in this current time and just think that you're bigger than the game.
Think of those players that just take these 6 months leave from the game. Dustin Johnson back in 2015, I think it was.
Yes, well, you've brought it up, but people can go and backtrack over that and make their own determinants over that. But
here's the thing: is the game, here's the thing: is that they have just signed a massive deal with BetMGM. So now you're in the realm of betting. So the integrity of the game and making sure it is dinky die needs to be squeaky clean, and you need to treat everything accordingly. Things are if you're allowing betting on sport, and especially when you're doing the specialty stuff, if you allow things like this stuff to happen, this is when things get really shady.
The other podcast guest that I do want to give a shout out to, and we won't play the video in its entirety, but was my guys from Glorified Donkey or the Real Life Caddy podcast. Now, they did go pretty hard. Big G went pretty hard at Patrick, put a headline on their YouTube video. You don't need to search too far to see Patrick Reed cheats at Torrey Pines. Let's just play a little bit of their video. You can hear G's voice if nothing else.
Patrick Reed, Torrey Pines Farmers Insurance Open, third round, 10th hole, fairway bunker. This ball is quite clearly going to miss the green, and it bounces. Yeah, definitely bounces, huh? So he walks up to his ball and listen.
Did it bounce?
No, I didn't see it bounce.
And Nick, the supply here as far as scoring is... It didn't bounce.
So he's walked up to his ball. He's asked a ball spotter if she saw his ball bounce. She said no. He then walks up and tells his playing partners he's going to have a look at the ball, identify it. He has a good look at it, and then he picks it up. I've slowed this one down. So he's picked it up, he's actually placed it, and now he's going to ask the rules official for a ruling. So he's already called the ruling, but now he's going to ask for the ruling. It's quite incredible. You have to listen to the boys at CBS and how uncomfortable this whole scenario is.
Because there's the golf ball. Or was that at his original spot?
No, it looks like that's the he just put it aside.
Yeah.
Well, there's the video that we've and the footage we've all been talking about for the last 49 minutes. Unbelievable. This is going to be a long one, guys, so stick with us because we've got a bit more to talk about. But that was the Big G from the Glorified Donkey. Great man. Goes pretty hard at anything that he doesn't sit right with him, and as he is there. So we're not the only ones calling this out. Just on the tournament, Patrick Reed won. We've talked about that. Anything else stand out for you, Rocket? Brooks Koepka, change of equipment. Just got some Shrixon ZX7s in the bag. Interesting.
I don't know. Almost don't want to talk about Brooks until he's missed 3 cuts now.
Okay.
I don't know. He's split from his coach. I don't know. I think he's got inside his own head. Potentially Bryson's got inside his head. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see.
Anything else happen of note for you?
It was a shame what happened to Victor on the last round.
Yeah, he was playing really well.
Did he injure himself? Did he get injured?
No, he's just won is it 12th? No, 13th or 14th hole. 2 days in a row he's knocked it over the back, and one day he's made round 3, made a double, and he's made a bogey on final round, and then he's just didn't make enough putts coming in.
It was 14 because I've got a video coming out about that one tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Your man, racked up another significant milestone or significant stat in the Tony Finau form rocket. Just another second place.
Yeah, PR curse is true. He was terrible. Like, people just need to stop thinking that he's going to break through for a win. When it comes to the crunch, his putting is terrible and his decision-making is ordinary. Even Rory, I think, I was going to lay into him, but the whole Patrick thing and then how the tour is basically a bit of drive-by shooting on Rory's character. I'm not going to lay into him, but last 2 weeks he's been in contention and just took the gas. I don't know. Xander was good. Xander's in really good form. Who else? Rory Sabatini, low Rory.
Rory Sabatini.
I saw the Italian is playing really well again. Sort of haven't heard from him for a while.
Francesco, I think he's still getting over the Masters.
Well, he got a tied 7th or tied 5th at the American Express, and now he's got another top 10, I think.
Yep.
Okay. So where are they this week, Rocket? What's the preview for the in the US this week?
So they're at the Phoenix Open.
Ooh, waste
We get
management.
to play the 16th with no fans. I don't know, maybe they're going to pipe music in or something. I don't know.
This is going to be weird because it's going to be another course that we're going to see in a different light because we're used to seeing so much of it with so much stand action around. Obviously, not going to be there, so it'd be a different tournament.
Well, it depends on if they leave the stands in there for some backstopping. Depends on if Texas Walker's going to be playing. If he's playing, I'm pretty sure they're going to have a few grandstands up.
I introduced Blakey to the Texas Walker in our last episode, did we not, Blakey?
Backstopper.
We did. We talked about that.
Yep, that was a good one.
Tips for this weekend. We missed our tipping last week. How do we go? How do we go the week before?
Oh, the week before we did okay. Actually, let me just go back to my notes. I had so many notes.
Was that
started off with
Martin Laird one?
Yeah, so Martin Laird finished. So go through your tips there, Rossco. So at the Bob Hope, we had Martin Laird to win. He finished tied for 47th. He did have Scotty Scheffler. He got COVID. So that was no good.
Not laughing.
I had Cam Champy missed the cut. And then I had Cam Davis, so I was in the Cameron zone. He finished third. We'll say the young man is starting to hit a little bit of form. I think he worked on his wedge game.
Yep.
He's going to break through for a win this season. I'm putting it out there right now.
There we go.
And then over at the Tumbleweed Classic, you picked Tyrrell, and he won, and I had Rawls, and he finished third. And Mr. Herbet, the Frenchman, finished tied for 25th. So he didn't have a great weekend. But
the Benny Game baguette. Blakey, we have fun at Lucas's expense, but it's not our fault because other people have done it well before us. In the European Tour, they've got what's his name? Herbet and Herbert. And I believe a number of times on the range, they get mixed up and that sort of thing. So, and even the commentators mix them up. So, anyway, Rocket likes to laugh at that. Another interesting one. Lucas defending at the Omega Dubai Desert Classic this week had, I think, his third round. Probably wasn't great, but he did. No.
But you know what?
He's playing.
Hats off to Paul Casey.
Unbelievable.
Little Popeye's pumping out. His last 3 years is kind of a bit of a resurgence, really.
I can't remember ever being a massive Paul Casey fan years ago, but he certainly warmed to me. He plays in the US. He goes over and supports the European Tour. He was at the Australian Open 2019 in Royal Sydney at the Australian. So he does travel about a bit. I respect someone that comes down to Australia and supports our tour. You were officiating then, Blakey. Did you get up close and personal with Paul Casey at the Australian in 2019?
I don't remember getting up. That was at the Lakes, wasn't it?
No, the Australian.
Oh, sorry, it was the Australia. It was the Lakes 2018. I don't remember getting up close and personal with him, but from all accounts, he seems like a nice guy. The only thing that I've ever not liked about him is the sunglasses he used to wear. They were
the Justin Rose ones.
They weren't golf sunglasses, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Him and Justin Rose, they had this little. It's almost like they were competing with who could look the stupidest.
It was like they were going to the beach or they were dealing drugs or something.
Ray-Bans. They had the Ray-Bans on.
Yeah, they were shocking.
Hey, look, for me, it was another win for the plus 40 brigade. And Blakey, you're not there yet, Rocket.
And he's not tall. He's not tall.
Not a big boy.
He's only 5'9".
Rocket, I don't know. You're not in plus. Are you plus 40 brigade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks, brother. You're in my quadrant. So
when I have a shave, I look under 40.
Well, you've still got some hair, so that's you've got some upside there. But plus 40, anyone that wins on the European Tour that's plus 40 is just going to get a double tick from me, pretty much. Padraig Harrington, speaking of plus 40s, he finished like -9 or something like that. I can't remember the exact result, but he's like in the top.
Yeah, tied for sixth.
Tied for sixth.
To be sure.
And your boy Sergio was up there as well. Rocking some old TaylorMades. He's gone back to the old P7 something or others, and there's a fair bit of happening on the gear front. A lot of people have changed contracts, moving into not no brands, but brands of their own choice and mixed bags. So there's a fair bit happening there for all the gearheads.
John Rahm's going to Callaway. Have you guys talked about that?
Yeah, we have talked about that extensively.
Yeah.
He is owned by Callaway. He's everything. Callaway is even getting a new putter that they've made for him. The 10. Soon to be released 10 2-ball. I might have signed a disclaimer not to talk about that. I don't think it's actually released yet, but he's using it in the proto version. But it's the number 10 and the 2-ball, so that's new for them.
So did he get pushed out of TaylorMade because they've got so many stars there, or did Callaway give him a better offer?
I reckon Callaway came knocking because
he's friends with Phil.
Well, that doesn't hurt. Because I think he was playing Callaways when he was at Arizona State, and that would have been probably a bit of a thanks, Phil. And then he went to TaylorMade when he came out. So TaylorMade, we'll call it, are very good at jumping on talent early. And I think he was effectively like the 6th or 7th wheel in the TaylorMade house. So Callaway, you think about you getting the tail end of Phil Stenson's done as well. You still have likes of Xander and Leishman, but who's going to be that top 10 player that's going to be front and center all the time? So I reckon they threw a heap of Spondula in Rambo's direction, and he said, "I'll take it."
They should try and pick up Paddy Reed.
He said, "Muy bien" for the. I don't know what's the word in Spanish for
Paddy Reed
for money. No, what's the money? What's money?
Moolah.
He said muy bien for the muchos moolah.
I know Paddy Reed. Yeah,
we're starting.
Your golf ball will never be embedded.
So there was a social media post by Callaway with Johnny Rahm hitting a flop shot with a 4-iron. Nice. Over Phil Mickelson's
that's his little
cardboard cutout. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think Rahm's done that one a few times actually.
You should try that, Rossco.
I could do it.
Let's see if you go viral. We should get a cardboard cutout of you, Rossco, the most prolific podcaster in Australia.
We'll just stick Rocket there. He's only about 3'7", so I could probably get over Rocket. Oh, wow.
We're gonna have a flop off, are we?
Wow.
Watch out, because Rossco's is smaller than yours.
Dear. I reckon
the rules book.
I reckon I could pull that trick shot off, but you can hold me to that, Blakey. When you've got the cameras, your massive amount of camera gear that follows you, and your crew that follows you around to produce your videos. Thanks for putting me on the latest trailer for the GolfRules Questions YouTube channel. You can see me there, Rocket featuring hitting a ball out of a cup from the side of the second or third green at Point Lonsdale. Lonsdale Links, hit a ball out of a cup to a couple of feet. It's pretty good. all part of a staged scene. Actors and I've got actors equity soon, appearing in Blakey's videos. But back to the European Tour, Brandon Stone, he was all right, not too bad. Like the way he wears his hat on his head these days. And Bobby McIntyre, could have, should have, didn't quite get it done, but he'll win. My wee boy, the Oban Express, as I like to call him. Sergio was up there. Pudrig, -9, T6, love it. Who else? Yeah. Westy, Tommy, Matty Fitzpatrick, T17, the Englishman's. T22 for Lucas. So he had that sort of ordinary round back down there with Tyrrell. He's going pretty well. I think he'd be pretty happy. I'd like to try and talk to my friend Wade Ormsby. Wade's been performing pretty solidly. He's been putting some good rounds in. I'm sure he'd like to be further up the leaderboard, but he's qualified for the WGC, so he's heading over to the States for that, which is pretty good. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you? Not? Would you not?
Just grinding it out.
Oh well, he keeps doing it. Scotty Jamieson. Scott Jamieson wants his Twitter handle back from the real Scott Jamieson. He's not getting it, according to the Scott Jamieson.
No, you mean Scott Jamieson wants his Twitter handle back from the fake Scott Jamieson?
Oh no, that's Scott Jamieson. We've got to get him on. He does want to appear with you, alongside you. Maybe he can come on to the next or future episode. But Scott Jamieson, you're always welcome on. Anyway, European Tour. This is going to be a big weekend in the European Tour because we've got the Saudi International in Saudi Arabia. Because that's what the Saudi International is.
I haven't seen which people are taking money to go and promote the game.
Yeah, well, there's a star-starter field. P. Reid is there. Dustin Johnson is there. All the big names will be there. But you're right.
Money talks.
We can only have thoughts about what we can control. We can't control a nation.
I'd like someone to be in their shoes and say no.
We can't control a nation, but you're right. Some people can make a choice, but these
not
guys
easy.
Don't. These guys don't. I know what I would have done if I was Justin Thomas and made a mistake like that, but we've all made mistakes. But anyway, let's not go.
What about home? Have you guys talked about the
yes.
Players Series?
That was excellent. I watched a bit of that on Saturday. I watched a little bit of that on Sunday, and I think that the Players Series, in the absence of the Vic Open, in the absence of other Australian Tour schedules, is a great initiative. And if it's the PGA that's behind it, and Geoff Ogilvy is part of that and behind that and fronting up for that, it's excellent because the standard of play I thought was very high. The opportunities that have been given to some up-and-coming young golf professionals was excellent. And the opportunity for some up-and-coming, obviously highly skilled amateurs to play alongside some of Australia's high-end professional talent is a format that and unfortunately, I don't want to say it's not going to happen, but if the golfing bodies of around the world, i.e. European Tour, i.e. PGA Tour and all of the other smaller tours, can't take something away from the people who are putting life into the professional game by being different, I don't know what more we can do to help, keep the game current and keep changing the format so we can get some interest and do things differently and create equality. The girls playing in the same leaderboard as the guys.
Got to hand it to Jeffrey. The young man he walks the walk. He wants to improve the game and make it better and make it more accessible, provide something different. If in terms of trying to give back.
It's amazing, isn't it? It doesn't take much.
Dude delivers. He delivers.
Only just takes one person who's got a following, got a
bit of drive.
Yeah.
I just thought it was great to see young Elvis Smiley. The shooting that he did was unbelievable. Who else was notable for you, Blakey?
It was just good to see the men and the women playing alongside each other. for the same trophy effectively. And, with the course set up, I haven't talked to my colleagues who were there, but I would think...
Well, Rosebud.
Yeah. Clates talked it up, said it was well underrated, but
it is.
or the North course anyway, the rest of it's not as flash.
There's a mission coming there.
Well, is he part of it? It's his, or is it someone else's?
No, OCM.
Oh,
They did.
his old company.
I was actually playing the course the day Mike was scouting it out. Not Mike Clayton, Mike Cocking. So we had a wee chat.
Yeah, well, Rossco and I have both played Lonsdale and Sandy together, and we like what they do around the green complexes there. So,
the course looked great. The wastelands and the way it presented, it looks great. So it's a wonderful course. It's the scene of one of my biggest ever competition-related rules and broglios, Blakey, where a referee did have to get involved. I'm not sure if we've spoken about it, but there was slow play involved. I got my caddy to call in the rules, the referee, who put us both on the clock and upset me. So the guy was playing slow. I got my caddy to say, get the guy across here to speed this guy up. He came and gave me the chat as well as him, and I got stressed. And anyway, the rest was history.
See, you should have taken a leaf out of Brooks's. See, Brooksy plays slow to get them on the clock.
Yeah. So anyway. But it was a great course.
Breaks. It's a great opportune time to just slow them down and just really put the grind on, get the group put on the clock for a few holes and make them speed up.
Great course, great tournament. I'm not sure where they're off to next. I should be better prepared.
Moona
Links. There we go. This weekend?
This is the Vic PGA at Moona Links. I think it's the open course. Please correct me if I'm wrong, or if they're playing open and legends. But the Moona Links this weekend. I think they've got tournaments all the way up until end of March.
Nice.
Quite a few Peninsula members represented in that group of professionals that we saw. So Geoff, who else was down there? Fraze, Bryden McPherson, Piper Stubbs, her brother Jasper Stubbs, that's a member down there. Piper Stubbs was playing. She's a Royal Melbourne member as an amateur. Dave Micheluzzi was playing. So had good representation from PK down there. Very, very good. But great initiative. Well done, Geoff. Well done, the PGA. Brendan Goddard, another PK member who was on part of PGA TV. It's good to see Brendan's commentary getting some coverage.
I see David McKenzie went and was playing down there.
David McKenzie? What a player.
And he's going pretty well on the Champions Tour.
What a player. Gents, is there anything else?
My rabbit hole.
Oh, sorry. We've got Rocket's segments to do. We should have started with... because the Patrick stuffed everything up. I knew it was going to be cooked, but I thought if I'm going to hang on to one segment, the rabbit hole, I've put a lot of effort into this one.
Good.
Okay.
I'm really hoping that everyone has been listening to the last ones and enjoying the content that I'm delivering here.
Is this one connected to golf this time?
No.
Hopefully.
None of them are connected to golf.
I bumped into Rocket. I bumped into Matty Mollica during the week, and he is always very quick to provide some commentary around his evaluation of our performance. He hasn't sent me any negative feedback around our performances, and he said another satisfactory effort by you two.
Satisfactory. That's like A+ if it came from anyone else. He's a hard marker, hard pass master.
He did like the move to some sort of semi-structured segments.
Yeah, well, he's gonna hate this week.
Okay. Anyway, it's time. Hold on. It's time for Rocket's Rabbit Hole.
All right. Now this is a favourite band of mine. However, there's a little bit of a twist to it and there's a little bit of a story. What I need everyone to do is go to YouTube again and Google Dave Gilmore at Pompeii in Italy. So the old ruins of Pompeii, which were covered in ash from a volcano explosion in like 74.
Vesuvius.
That's it. Mount Vesuvius. So in 1972, Pink Floyd played at Pompeii to no people. It was recorded and put out as a bit of an epic sort of video in cinemas and stuff in 1973, 74. And there was some other additional edits that they put in there with some other stuff when there were some clips from recordings, because in 74 they were doing some recordings for Dark Side of the Moon. And so I highly recommend. There's a lot of the songs are there individually. I should actually send you a link to this to put into potentially the show notes there, Rossco. That might actually make it a little bit easier for the listeners to just jump on and rather than just fumble away, and then they can go into the rabbit hole from there.
Please do, Rocket, because I can sense that they're at the edge of their seats already.
Oh, absolutely. So Dave Gilmour, I think, is probably one of the most amazing guitarists and also singers to ever grace this earth. And a couple of the songs which are favourites of mine and I can highly recommend is Shine on You Crazy Diamond, I Wish You Were Here, and the rather epic song which features the Black Strat, which is a song called Sorrow. Now, if anyone wants to know about the Black Strat, just also look up Dave Gilmour Guitar Collection and sales of Christie. So he went and sold a large quantity of his guitar collection to fund his foundation, which he deploys into certain areas of impoverished areas in the UK and other areas. And the Black Strat sold for, can anyone take a guess on what the Black Strat sold for?
1.2 mil.
Not close.
Oh, 2.8
mil.
2.5.
No, they're a little bit too far.
£2.5 million.
Oh, you're getting close, Rossco. No, it was actually US dollars, I think.
Oh,
3.6.
3 million.
Wow.
3 million. The collection that he put forward was about 100 guitars, and I think it's sold for $22 million. And the Black Strat is famous because it was basically his guitar that he played on every Pink Floyd album from 1974, so Dark Side of the Moon, all the way through to, I think it was 87, so Delicate Sound of Thunder, features pretty much the Black Strat.
I wonder how many of those guitars the Hard Rock Cafe bought.
Not too many, I don't reckon. There's some really good guitar enthusiasts that would make sure it's not inside the Hard Rock Cafe. But yes, everyone go see, even go as far as watching the original Pompeii, Pink Floyd at Pompeii, and then the Dave Gilmour one. It is just, there's some amazing shows. Amazing.
Excellent work, Rocket. I have one question, not related to the rabbit hole from this week, but has YBS, or what was his name?
Brody from Youngbloods.
Youngbloods. Is his 2.2 million subscribers skyrocketed since we gave him a shout out in the Rockets rabbit hole a few weeks ago?
Actually, I'll just do a quick check to see. He was at 2.2. Let's see. I reckon he's at 2.23. Roscoe. I think
you've got three people. Well done. Excellent.
We've made a significant impact. So he should be giving us a shout out.
Okay, well, I'm just going to close it off now. Blakey, thanks to you for joining in. Really do appreciate all of your commentary and insights. It's made the first part of this podcast very, very valuable. And the second part, including Rocket's rabbit hole, you gave us nothing. If you want to,
I was blown away by this segment that's not even has nothing to do with golf, unless Dave Gilmour actually plays golf and had a hole in one.
This segment has absolutely zero to do with golf. I think that we can bash on golf as much as humanly possible, but I think that we've always got to just find. There's a little bit of content that I find during the week, and we've just got to dive into it because I'm trying to add some class maybe some just educate the people, just enrich their lives with just some other stuff besides me ranting about rules and Patrick Reed.
I just thought, if you were going to pick rock stars, you might have picked Alice Cooper because he's such a fanatical golfer.
Is a lover of golf and has been in my golf shop. And the Rossco name drop, which you and I have talked about it, joked about it on the way down in the car, Blakey. There's a name drop for you. I'm going to try and drop a name at least once an episode.
You should get him on the podcast.
I wasn't there the day that he came in, but Lynn, who was working for me at the time.
Which is actually quite strange that you weren't at your shop because you pretty much work there 7 days a week.
No, I missed Alice Cooper the day that he came in. He hasn't been back since. He has been to Australia a number of times, but I didn't see Alice Cooper.
Must have been the poison.
You've waited
I think Rossco slept well that night. I think he might have been sleeping on a bed of nails.
You've waited an hour and 16 minutes to bring in some comedy, Blakey. Thank you very much for delivering. I'll retract that you delivered nothing in the second part. You've just delivered there with a bit of comedy gold. I
just want to say thank you, Rocket. This has been pleasurable as always, and thank you, Rossco, for the invitation. And just remember, guys, without rules there is chaos.
Okay.
It's been pleasurable for me too, David. I just want to say one thing in closing. I just want to shout out to a very good friend of mine, Dennis Armfield, and his beautiful wife Abby. Dennis and Abby have had their little baby Steele in hospital recently, and Dennis is pretty open with what he gives out to the world in terms of his journey, and especially now at the moment, his journey as a father. And he's been sharing his, little Steele came into the world. She was somewhat of a miracle baby, born through wonderful help of the medical people of the world in IVF and all that sort of thing. She was literally a miracle, but she's been in hospital, the little thing, and Dennis has had a bit of a tough time, and so has Abby, but Steele's out of hospital. But Dennis, what you're sharing with the people in your journey as a father is inspiring to all the new fathers, and I'm glad that your beautiful little girl is out of hospital and you've got the chance to look after her at home now. And Dennis is a great man. If you're a Carlton man, he's an even greater man, as am I. And Dennis has always got a very special place on this podcast because he was the first person to ever open his door and let me sit down with gear that I had no idea how to use. I had no idea what I was talking about. I just knew that I knew Dennis and he would talk back to me. And so Dennis, great work on sharing your journey as a new father and inspiring fathers through what you're going through.
Well played, number 27.
Well played, number 27. And I'm glad to see that little baby, beautiful Steele, is back at home. Abby, and you keep doing a wonderful job as a mum. The other thing, and I'm not going to play it now, I'll play it after the music, the closing music. But I do want to give a shout out to my very good friend John Cornish, number 48th in the world of golf.com magazine, top 100 course players. He's played 3 golf.com top 100 lists coming back over the years. So he's the 48th person in the world and the first Australian to do such a list. John had a couple of holes in one the first part of this year, which is only 1 month old. So he's already had 2 holes in one.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I recorded a little bit of a brief interview. I'm going to play it after this. If you want to stay on and listen to John Cornish, top 100 exponent, talking to me, please stay on and listen to John and I chat. John is going to feature on the podcast this year. He's going to regale us with some of his wonderful experiences playing the world, not Australian, the world's top 100. And you know what it means if you've completed a top 100 list. Rocket, you know which course you've played. Which course would be?
Too many good ones.
Well, most people get to 99 and they struggle with the 100th, and the 100th is Augusta. So last year, John went to Augusta.
Do you know what? Sometimes the 100th is Cyprus. It's actually harder than Augusta.
Well, he's done them all. Anyway, Blakey,
unbelievable.
Thank you, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll see you next time. John Cornish, good morning. Sitting in the car park at your golf course. How are you, sir? You're just on the back of a special fortnight. It's not only the start of 2021, but the start of what could be an amazing streak for you. You're on a 2-week 2-hole-in-one streak. Congratulations, firstly. Welcome to the podcast, secondly, and how are you? Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks, Rossco. I'm feeling okay. It's certainly been an interesting couple of weeks. Couple of very unexpected things happened, and it started on New Year's Eve and culminated yesterday. So it's been good.
So most of us start our year with a few goals in mind for the new year, and it's usually to lose a few kilos, to get a bit fitter, to do a bit less work or more work or whatever have you. And did your goals include having 2 holes in one?
It certainly did not. Oh. No. I've been fortunate to have one many years ago. 1997. I had one, and I thought, that's more than a lot of golfers have. It's fewer than others have, but I was certainly happy with having had one. And so it was a great surprise when I had another one on New Year's Eve, and an even bigger surprise when one dropped in yesterday.
Now, there's usually a tale of the quality of golf shot, whether it's an absolute pure strike, one bounce into the cup, or it's dribbled over the breaks, humps, hills, and hollows. What were yours like, John?
Well, first one was on the 15th hole at Kingston Heath, which is probably the most photographed hole at Kingston Heath. It's certainly a fantastic par 3. I hit. It was a little bit into the wind, and I hit plenty of club to get me to the middle. I always aim for the back half of the green, just because the trouble short and right is so severe. So I hit plenty of club, and I didn't hit it terribly well, but it went straight and landed fairly short on the green, and just took off. And it rolled a little bit left to right, then a little bit right to left, and then disappeared. The flag was on the back right, so we could see the bottom of the flag, and we did see the ball disappear. And I knew it didn't go over the back because it wasn't that well struck. And it wasn't until we sort of walked up to the up towards the green that I could see the very top of the ball sitting on top of the noodle in the hole. In these COVID times. And there it was. So I was with a couple of friends from New South Wales Golf Club who were down in Melbourne for a little while playing a bit of golf, and we ended up having a bit of a celebration on New Year's Eve as well.
Oh, very good. Now, what makes it even more special in my mind, I haven't really spoken to anyone that's had a hole-in-one in recent times. I know there's been a few, but these noodles that we have in the bottom of the cups, I think they've probably rejected as many holes in one as accepted. So the fact that you had 2 in 2 weeks that have been accepted by the hole in one, whatever you believe in, the people upstairs, by those people that allow these things to go in the hole, has been fantastic. Now your second one yesterday at another pretty amazing place with who were we with? Gary Lisbon, I believe.
I was with Gary and a couple of Gary's friends that I've played with before. We were on the 13th hole. Again, I wasn't playing particularly well, but we were one up in our match at the time, and just sort of chugging along, trying to keep Gary and his partner at bay. And we came to the downhill 13th hole on the east course at Royal Melbourne, and the wind was howling behind us. It was coming from the south, and it was 123 to the flag, with with bunkers, with a bunker left and a bunker right, and it's sort of a narrow opening to the green. So you think, well, okay, you better better just hit it straight. And I had a wedge in my hand, and then I thought, no, because if you hit the greens there are so firm that if you land on the front of the green, there's a fair chance your ball is going to finish on the back of the green if they stop at all. So I went down to a 50 degree and thought just hit a good solid one, and thankfully I did. It came off the grooves, and which is unusual in itself for me, and it just went straight at the hole, and we saw it bounce once, and then it disappeared. So nothing but noodle. It was there waiting for us when we got down.
Happy days.
Gary got some footage of that, which was exciting, and a few photos, and it was just incredibly unexpected.
Well, I was pretty busy yesterday, and only a few chances to glimpse at the phone during the day as we keep helping out the golfers of Melbourne. And I looked at the phone, and you sent me a message, and it looked like the similar photo that you sent to me 2 weeks ago when you had a hole-in-one, and my immediate reaction was going, what's John sending me his hole-in-one photo for again? Like, I know that he had a hole-in-one. Thanks very much, John. Rub it in. Well done. And then it dawned on me very quickly, going, he's had another one. No, surely not. And then I think my response, FFS, I think what most people know what that stands for. I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So well done, John. Congratulations. Envious. Yeah, my friend who you don't know but you know of, Jamie Glazier, who is my co-host on the Mental Mastery Golf podcast. Jamie, if you listen to this, you probably don't want to because, of however many years of golf you've been golfing, still no hole-in-one. And me, myself, almost doesn't count, because I had one in 1987. Some people don't recognise that. If they weren't born then, they don't recognise a hole-in-one. But 1987 was my first and last. So I did set as my golfing goals to have a hole-in-one this year. I'm going to try really hard, John. So we might have to catch up a bit more often, and I might have to rub off a bit of this hole-in-one mojo from you if you don't mind.
Well, I did go out and buy a Tap Lotto ticket last night, thinking that this is the day. But I checked my ticket before I set up for golf this morning, and my luck has changed back to normal. So.
We do have one thing in common in regards to hole-in-one efforts, that we both had them fairly new into a new set of golf clubs. Now, you just recently got a new set of golf clubs, a new set of TaylorMade P770s.
I did.
Now, in some way, I believe that having new sets of golf clubs can contribute to that, even though the shot might not have been the greatest at Kingston Heath on the 15th. But, it was only a few rounds in, and that was the same as me. I had a new set of PGFs back in the day. If you weren't born before 1987, you won't know what PGFs are, but they were the premier golf club from Australia back then. And, so it was like my first or second round with a new set of golf clubs. So we've got that in common at least. Now, one thing that we do have in common, and I won't keep you, John, because you're probably going for your 15th game of golf in those 12 days. One thing that we do have in common is a passion for global golf, and you are the man that I know for global golf experience, being number 48 in the world to complete. How many top 100 lists have you completed, John? Is it 3?
I've completed 3 lists, 3. Yeah. So from Golf Magazine in the US, which you find at golf.com, www.golf.com. I completed a 2013, 2015 and 2017 list. There's 111 courses in total, and I finished that in October of 2019.
Now, we've been talking about this, your contribution to the My Love of Golf podcast for some time. We've had a little crack at recording, and it became clear when we did record and when we listened back to that there's just too much information to pack into one sitting. So we've talked about it a number of times, and you've helped me get some great guests on the podcast as well, which I appreciate. So we've had the idea that we might just touch base fairly, when time permits, fairly frequently, and digest some of those wonderful experiences that you've had, because I've heard many of them, and as a golfer of global golf lover, I love hearing those stories, and I'm sure people, whether they have or haven't been to these courses and experienced the experiences that you've heard, do get that fantasy type dream of doing it one day. So they would love to hear from you. So why don't we digest a lot of those experiences this year along the journey, just have some quick catch-ups and just share what you experience as being the 48th person in the world to do one of the big lists, and it's probably the only list of any note that you need that list, the golf.com people to get into the Centurions Club. So why don't we do that, John?
That sounds great. I've documented bits and pieces over the years, and that's there sort of just my notes to just to, I guess, reminisce on some of the experiences that I've had, and I'd love to have a chat about it at some stage, Rossco, over one or many, whatever you prefer. Let's do it.
Very good. Well, John, I'll let you go to your tee-off, which is approaching. I know you need to warm up again, but I appreciate you just jumping on and letting me congratulate you on having 2 holes in 1 in 2 weeks at 2 of the most famous courses in the world. And I wish you another one very soon, but I look forward to catching up with you very shortly to start talking about some of those great experiences that you've had all over the world.
Fantastic. Look forward to it, Rossco. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, John. I'll see you soon.
Okay.